Welcome to another Vixa Vaughn romance audiobook. We're excited to have you join us. Whether you're into second chance romance, enemies to lovers, fake marriage, or any other trope, Vixa Vaughn offers you the chance to escape into stories that will carry you away into heart-pounding romance and gripping characters. While we want to get you the full experience, some parts of this audiobook are abridged to stay abreast of YouTube's community guidelines. If you want the full experience, you can always head to Vixa Vaughn Romance and use code VIXA40 to get the unabridged version of this audiobook for 40% off. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Chapter 1. Olsen. Deafening cheers and glaring lights greet me once again as I step into the pitch. I bask in the audience's support for Team USA as I spot the banners and flags, some with my name or number on them. I couldn't help the thrill I felt as the team lines up for the second half of the game. We're playing against Canada. This is the last one we had to play for the qualifiers for the Rugby World Cup, and I could already taste the sweet victory. We're already in the lead at 29-9. The rest of the game should be a piece of cake. It's a shame, really. Team Canada was one of the hardest to play against at the start of the season because of their steady and quick improvements. But somehow, their lineup today seems to be lacking in offense. As we run up to take our positions, I notice a few of Canada's players leering at me. I glare back, and to my surprise, they smirk nastily at me. I scowl, but choose to ignore them. Whatever. If they think they can take me on and intimidate me, they have another thing going for them. Our skills and reputation speak for themselves. They're not the ones having a celebratory party after this game is over. Yeah, it'll be a rage. Then I'd go home with a chick or two and spend the rest of the weekend lounging in my penthouse while waiting for the next training schedule. My mind switches onto game mode as soon as I'm in my spot. Planting my feet solidly on the ground, I take in my view. Eyes trained forward and senses on high alert. I react the exact moment the whistle blows to signal the start of the game. My teammate and good buddy, Ross, kicks the ball short and high. The forwards rush in to challenge it. I watch carefully, my eyes following the ball and the players in front of me. I charge forward when my team takes possession of the ball. I think of myself as a cautious player despite my occasional risky moves, but I never let my guard down no matter what the scoreboard says. As the inside center, I prepare for offense, dashing directly ahead to find a good position for catching the ball. The game turns fast and intense all too soon as I wait for an opportunity. Number 10 makes a sideways toss to me, and I catch it perfectly like I usually do. Securing the ball under my arms, I run determinedly to score a try, all the while keeping my eyes peeled on the lookout for a teammate in case I need to pass. Hell yeah, just a few more meters to the goal line. From the corner of my eyes, I see two players gaining on me and a third one in front, waiting for a chance to steal the ball. But I'm not giving him that chance. I spot our number 14's open position and decide it would be best to pass. I swerve right and successfully dodge the oncoming tackle. Before I could pass the ball, I didn't expect my tackler to extend a leg out and trip me. I cry out in surprise, the contact feeling more like a kick in the shin. What the hell? That's foul play. I fall face first toward the ground until my reflexes kick in, and I twist my body, only to land on my shoulder at an unnatural angle. Pain shoots through my entire upper body, a loud groan escaping me when I feel the joint pop out of its socket. But before I can fully register the pain, two more men are on me. One forcibly rips the ball away from my clutch, and the other digs his elbow into my ribs. I hear the cracking bones through the sudden ringing in my ears. I almost faint from the shock. The shrill blow of the whistle snaps me from completely blacking out. I move a hand to the ground and attempt to push the offenders off, but my arm gives out as I become more aware of the pain in my shoulders. My mouth hangs open in a silent scream, and my body begs for some kind of relief. It doesn't come. The weights on my leg and torso only become heavier as I wait for my team to rescue me. White spots dance across my vision as the jerks are finally hauled away. I shut my eyes, a loud groan erupting from my throat as I lay there, motionless in agony. I feel like a 10-wheeler truck rammed into me. Sucking in my breath, I barely make out the heavy footfalls of the other players crowding around me. Despite the pain, my mind struggles for control. I try to move my body. My left leg hurt like hell. I'm no doctor, but damn, I'm pretty sure that leg's broken. So are my ribs. And what if I tore a ligament? Suddenly, my mouth guard feels too thick in my mouth as panic sets in. Is this it? Is this where all I've ever worked for ends? Humiliating. My career can't end because some cheaters decided they didn't want me on the field, not when the World Cup is just around the corner. I vaguely see the referee issue a red card, but damn, they deserve more than a red card. What is this? I can't even keep my eyes open now. My senses are fading, and my hearing is reduced to muffled sounds no matter how hard I try to keep conscious. There's commotion all around me, lots of shouting and swearing. A fight breaks out if I'm not imagining it. It's hard to tell. It feels like an eternity before two sets of strong hands take hold of me and transfer me onto a stretcher. I want to be angry, to lash out and break those cheaters' bones. Let's see how they feel. But the pain is too much, and it soon takes over my body. I stop fighting until finally I black out.
Chapter 2. Mandy. Does it still hurt when you move it this way? I ask my patient as I hold her elbow in a soft grip and move it a few inches upward. It's a busy Monday for me as I began my morning therapy session with Sally, a 62-year-old woman who got into a car accident several weeks ago and fractured her arm. Her records don't show irreparable damage, but because of her age, she needs a lot more care in her physical therapy. "No, dear," she replies to me in her kind, motherly voice, but it feels a little uncomfortable. I nod and move her arm in a different direction. "How about this way?" "Just a slight pain," she says. "Good. Looks like our sessions are working." "You're a miracle worker, dear." "I don't know about that," I reply with a shy giggle. I've heard people say that about me a few times before, but I don't really do anything special. I'm just doing my job. Sally gives me a radiant smile. "Then you must be the best one at your job." I laugh, but accept the compliment as we continued with the movements. "You really know how to boost my ego." I've been a physical therapist for about 4 years now, but I only transferred to this private hospital from a small clinic a year ago. Honestly, I don't have the experience to be called the best yet, but I'm working hard to further my career and become worthy of all the praise. I get startled by the sudden ringing of my phone. Based on the ringtone, it's Dr. Tate, my boss, who's calling. It must be something important since he's calling when he knows I'm busy with a patient. "Excuse me," I tell Sally before standing up and walking toward the ringing phone I left on my desk. "I need you in the VIP room right now," my boss hisses as soon as I pick up. It confuses me for a moment because Dr. Tate usually isn't a demanding person. "What's going on?" I ask worriedly. "There's a guest in the VIP room, and I need you to meet him for treatment," he tells me. "I'm with a patient right now. Can it wait?" "No," he practically screams at me. More softly, he tries again. "No. It's an emergency. Get over here, Mandy." "Okay," I answer hesitantly. "I'll have another therapist take over." I explain the so-called emergency to Sally before calling in another therapist. Thankfully, she doesn't complain about VIPs and their entitled way of interrupting an ongoing session. It's funny how I'm the one more worked up about it. After making sure Sally is taken care of, I rush to the elevator and get off the top floor where Dr. Tate told me to go. There were only 10 VIP suites on this floor, all of which look more like a hotel room than a hospital's. "There she is, doctor," Tate announces when I enter the room, the best physical therapist in New York City. I smile awkwardly at his presentation, knowing how he's exaggerating in front of the VIP. That's when I recognize him, sitting on the couch with his feet up on the center table. Olsen Harte, one of the hottest and most sought-after rugby players in the U.S. At least he used to be until that incident 2 months ago, where he suffered from severe injuries. It was a terrible event that affected the whole rugby world, especially since it happened during the qualifiers for the World Cup. So that's why Dr. Tate sounded so jumpy. I coughed into my hand to hide my smile. Dr. Tate is a massive fan of Olsen Harte, and I remember how devastated he was when the news of his injuries broke out. It must be a dream come true for him to meet his hero now and be treated in our hospital. I'm a big fan of rugby myself, so I followed the news updates about Olsen until it died down. My brother used to play in college and is now a coach for his own team, but because of an injury, he had to give up. He's the reason I became a physical therapist in the first place. I guess this particular case will be personal to me. Nice to meet you. I'm Mandy Wells, and I'll be your therapist from now on. He grunts in response, not bothering to look up from the magazine he's reading. I resist the urge to roll my eyes at his rude behavior. I swear, these VIPs are all so stuck up. I'll leave you to it then, my boss says, as he gets up to leave and hands me the medical report. Before going out the door, Dr. Tate levels me with a look. Take care of him, Mandy. Promise me, he says with the most serious expression I've seen on him. I have to bite my lip to hold back a giggle. I promise. He'll be getting back on that pitch in no time. I look at Olsen carefully, and boy, to say he's hot is an understatement. It's the first time I've seen him in casual clothing. He's buffed and probably stands at 6'4". I'd normally only notice his body, but wow, he also has a gorgeous face, a prominent aquiline nose with a slightly bent bridge, thin lips, angular jaw, and bushy brows. Suddenly feeling shy, I divert my gaze to focus on the medical report in my hand. I'm a professional, for Pete's sake. I take the opposite couch and realize he was reading a Playboy magazine all this time. I grip the report tighter. That Dr. Tate, he really spoiled him. According to the report, Olsen has a few broken ribs and a broken leg. He also had a dislocated shoulder, but fortunately the sling was removed already. The man looked fine, if not for the brace on his leg. Can you tell me how it happened? I asked to begin a conversation. I'd rather not, he says as he turns a page. I have myself a stubborn one. I sigh slowly. Looks like I have my work cut out for me.
Chapter 3. Olsen, this is nonsense. There's no reason for me to be in this hospital to meet another therapist. All the doctors I've been to already told me that I may never be able to play rugby again. What makes this hospital any different? Just because one of their head doctors is obviously a hardcore fan doesn't mean they can work miracles. How stupid. What's worse is my attitude toward all of this. Normally, I'd be reveling in the praises and adoration, no matter what kind of fan they are. There would be times where I'd be the one to offer pictures and autographs. But as I am now, I brushed the doctor off even when he gave me a Playboy magazine when I didn't even have to put on the charm. Don't get me wrong, I like being spoiled. But if they do it because they pity me, then it just feels like rubbing salt on my wounds. Doesn't matter whether he's a true fan or not. It makes me feel useless. Then he brings in some woman and calls her the best therapist in New York. I don't have to look at her to know how much of a lie that is. I don't want any help from these people. They can't give me what I want. We already lost the qualifiers against Canada, despite our huge advantage in the first half. Morale went down too fast too soon, and the other team pulled ahead. It still haunts me how we could have won if I wasn't injured. I can't play for the next round either. My manager said they already found a replacement for me. And if that wasn't enough, he also told me I might retire early. What the hell am I supposed to do if I'm not playing rugby? This sport is my life. I'm not ready for it to be over yet. Not when I'm at the height of my career. Damn! That's not true anymore, is it? Everything was falling into place, and suddenly, the first time I was given the chance to play for the World Cup, the rug was pulled from under me. I don't even know if I can play for the next season. I spent the past 2 months recuperating from my injuries, and it wasn't long ago that I first left the house. Those 2 months were hell. I fell into depression, the injustice of being stripped off my skills, talents, strength. Everything that made me a rugby player weighed over my head. I couldn't shake it off. Without rugby, I was lost. I wallowed in misery and self-pity while those damn doctors couldn't give me other news besides the usual, "I'm sorry, but I'm afraid the damages are too severe. You might not be able to play again." My grip on the Playboy magazine tightens as I remember their words. I don't want anyone else telling me the same thing over and over. Any more of those, and I might completely lose all hope. Damn, being here is a terrible idea. I should leave. Except I'm too proud to do that. The male doctor, Dr. Tate, leaves after the therapist introduces herself. I ignore her, pretending to focus on the magazine in my hand. I keep ignoring her when she sits in front of me in a false act of making me comfortable. I've been in this situation before. I won't give them my trust anymore, only for it to be broken by their crappy promises. "Can you tell me what happened?" she asks, like it's an easy thing to do. Well, no way. I'm done with this nonsense, and if I ignore her enough, maybe she'll give up. I hear a quiet, drawn-out sigh. I flip another page. I wonder how long it will take before she leaves. I can be stubborn if I really want to be. A few seconds pass when I hear another sigh, this time followed by the sound of footsteps. Her shadow looms above me, but I still don't pay her any attention. All of a sudden, she plucks the magazine from my hand and tosses it on her chair. For a moment, I'm stunned by her action. It's the first time something like this has happened to me. Usually, people cater to me, and no one would have the guts to do this. When I snap out of my shock, I look up to glare at her. What did she think she was doing? But my protest dies in my throat as I take in her appearance because, damn, she's one gorgeous therapist. "I'm glad to finally have your attention," she says, and suddenly her voice becomes a lot more attractive to my ears. "You're not giving me much of a choice," I mutter, refusing to back down just because she's pretty. She's not what I usually go for. I liked blondes with bodies like a supermodel, but goddamn, this woman is hot. Even in her boring uniform, I can make the outline of her curves, the dip in her waist, and the fullness of her chest. She has a face that commands attention with her pretty brown eyes and full lips. And now that she's standing so close, I can smell the sweetness of strawberries from her. I resist the temptation to breathe in her scent. Before I could get a word out, she speaks again. "Mr. Harte, I understand you've been to other therapists before and have not received the answer you want. All I'm asking is, you give me a chance." She continues, "Listen and cooperate with me. I won't make any promises, but we both want the same thing, to get you back on that pitch." I scoff. I've had doctors and therapists from all over the world tell me the opposite. She gives me a look that's between confusion and disbelief. Then a soft smile appears on her face when she says, "I don't believe in the word impossible." It hurts that I used to think the same way. Look where that got me. But she's the first one who truly believes I can get back in the game. Maybe, just maybe, I should give her a chance.
Chapter 4. Mandy. Olsen Harte is one stubborn man. He's too stubborn for his own good, though I suppose stubborn is just another word for strong-willed, a trait that definitely helped pave his way to success as an athlete. It's not something I can fault him with. Still, it caused a lot of trouble when I first took over his therapy. We fought a lot, and he wouldn't believe anything I said. I had the qualifications and credibility, but no, he insisted I was making him do the wrong things. It's been a month now, and we've taken the therapy sessions to his home. We're at his penthouse in Manhattan, a true bachelor's pad with sleek furniture, dark-toned walls and decor, and a kitchen with the most expensively stacked wine rack I've ever seen. I'm not so sure I should be doing this, he says as he raises his leg without stopping the exercise. The underlying teasing in his voice becomes apparent as his lips curve into a smirk, and I shake my head to prevent myself from giggling. I know what I'm doing, Olsen, I retort with a roll of my eyes. Just do what I tell you. You can complain later if my methods don't work. I guess your methods are satisfactory. For now, he says with a wink. I feel my cheeks heat up, and I look away embarrassed. I think it's cute when he gives me flirty compliments, but damn, it makes me question my professionalism. I can't develop a crush on a client no matter how hot he is. I pride myself on being professional and career-driven, but when he gives me that disarming smile, he makes it so much harder to keep my head out of the clouds. After a few more sets, I lead him to the recliner chair, sit on a stool, and prop his injured leg on my lap. "Little Miss Miracle Worker," he says as he sits down. "I've heard it around the hospital, you know. I think you live up to your nickname." "Thank you for the compliment," I reply calmly. I'm usually uncomfortable hearing such things, but it hits differently coming from Olsen. I place my hands on his leg, feeling the hard muscles in his calf for the leg massage. Boy, sometimes this feels more like a favor to me than for him. He sighs quietly as I begin to put on some pressure, and I distract myself by recalling his rudeness when we first met. We fall in comfortable silence as the minutes drag on until I lose myself in my memories. He really gave me a hard time back then with his nonstop complaining and whining, but that was nothing compared to my dedication. Maybe Dr. Tate pressuring me was a factor. It was funny at first how he always asked about our progress. He'd say things like, "When will I see him play again?" And, "I hope you're taking care of him, Mandy," as if he was a child and not an experienced doctor. It became annoying at some point, and I ended up avoiding him whenever I could. Looking back, I guess that's what gave me the initiative to take the therapy sessions in Olsen's home. It worked for the best. Olsen is loaded and his place is spacious, so moving in the equipment for therapy went smoothly. Some of his training gears were also useful. I admit early on I didn't want to make promises that could raise his hopes up, only to let it die. I'm not the miracle worker people keep calling me. I simply have faith in my clients when they can't have faith in themselves. And when they finally see that small glimmer of hope, they do the rest of the work on their own. I'm here to assist, nothing more. The same goes for Olsen. When he realized he could trust me, he became much easier to work with and followed the routines without a fuss. At least not anything troublesome. He still likes to tease me and joke around, but now, I just take it as a sign that we've become good friends. I spiral out of my musings when he grunts at a particular pressure point. My cheeks heat up as the thought of something else invades my mind. I've been coming here every day for almost a month to give him massages. Geez, how am I still not used to this? I try to bring my focus on massaging his leg, but the bare skin-to-skin contact is enough to make me finish up early. "Are we done for today?" he asks as soon as I stop. I almost say yes when I remember I planned another exercise to do. "You should get some rest soon, but maybe you're up for something harder," I ask. He chuckles, his voice deep and gravelly. Damn it, I'm so attracted to him. I'm ashamed of myself. "Why don't we add swimming to your list today?" I suggest, getting up from my stool. "You up for it?" "You know I'm up for anything you say, Mandy." He winks, then disappears into his room to change. I release a long sigh when he was out of sight. That man really knows how to push my buttons. Maybe it would have been better if he'd been the arrogant, conceited man I thought he was. I sigh again. No, I won't like that at all. Besides, he was never really a jerk to begin with. He was suffering because of the injury, fell into depression, and took it out on the people around him. I'm glad I picked up on it right away, no matter how long it took him to admit it out loud. Now he's like a completely different person. Not only that, but Olsen's improvement is going steady and fast. At this rate, getting back in the game is no longer an impossible dream. Not like I ever believed anything was impossible. I'm so proud of him. Even I can't wait for him to play rugby again. 2 months from now. That's the goal we set. 2 months and he'll be back for sure.
Chapter 5. Olsen. I go to my room to change into a pair of swimming trunks just as Mandy instructed. A smile appears on my face as I take off my clothes. Mandy is one amazing woman. She's the only one who believed I could heal from my injuries. Even I didn't believe I could ever play again. And yet she pushed her way into my life, forced me to get off my butt, and slowly but surely led me to recovery. I still have a long way to go, but my improvement so far is nothing short of a miracle. The pain from any kind of movement disappeared in a month, all because Mandy believed I could get better. That day she took me under her care, I saw hope for the first time, no matter how little it was. And as our sessions progressed, that speckle of hope grew brighter and brighter until all I could think about was the next time I can play again. 2 months is a long time to wait. My only consolation is Mandy's amazing presence. I enjoy her company, and I find our sessions the best part of my day. I look forward to Mandy's arrival every day. I can't believe how rude I was to her when we first met, not to mention grumpy during our early meetings. I didn't even listen to her, and doubted the exercises she planned for me. I'm too lucky she didn't give up on me, and that she even took on my case in the first place. I got the best doctors to perform my surgery, and when it went smoothly, I thought everything would slowly go back to normal, except nobody wanted to work with me. I've called on the top physical therapists from around the world, but one look at me and they tossed me aside as an impossible case, and the ones who attempted gave up too easily. I was a lost cause, they said. I now realize it's because they didn't want any failure on their records. They could have tried to help me and achieve the same results as Mandy had, but the lack of guarantee caused them to quit before seeing actual improvement. Those conceited bastards! I almost gave up all hope because of them. On the other hand, Mandy showed me compassion and commitment. She ignored all the assumptions of me being a lost cause. I don't believe in the word impossible, she said. She's not in it for the recognition or money. She simply wants to help. And for those reasons, I'll forever be thankful to her. I come back to the living room and call Mandy's name to tell her I'm ready. Oh, good. She stands up, looks at me, and stares. Exactly the reaction I'm hoping for. I smirk, discreetly flexing my muscles as she checks me out. My ego inflates the longer she stares. Her eyes travel lower, and her lips part when she reaches my crotch. Damn. She looks so hot right now, I can't help but want those lips around me. My body heats up too, and I swear if she keeps looking at me like that, I might just skip swimming in favor of something else. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I'm not so sure at this point. She catches herself, turns away, and says, "Pool. Let's go to the pool." I follow her, a little conflicted over the unresolved sexual tension between us. Somehow, it's becoming too thick to ignore, and I have little control to hold myself back. Freestyle is fine, Mandy explains as we reach the private pool area. Just do a few laps as long as you're still comfortable. I lower myself into the water, fighting off the sudden coldness. I plunge my body deeper to get used to the temperature and do some practice strokes in place. When I feel I'm ready, I begin to swim freestyle, slowly in the beginning while my body adjusts to the motions. Mandy's right. Not that she's ever wrong, but swimming does help. It takes my mind off the specific movements of my body. The familiarity of the task makes it feel less like an exercise and more like a natural reaction to being submerged in water. I don't feel pain at all, but there's a noticeable pull at my shoulders whenever I lift my arms. I also can't kick as strongly as I want to, but other than the slight discomfort, I felt good. I sneak glances at Mandy whenever I get close to her side of the pool. She's watching me intently, and I know it isn't because she's worried about me. I feel her eyes on my body, traveling down my torso, my limbs, my butt. She's attracted to me as much as I am to her, but damn, her level of professionalism is so over the top she'd never lay a hand on me. Even when she's massaging me, I can't help but hope she'd slide her hands higher. She never does, of course. But if our roles were switched, we'd be screwing like rabbits by now. I wish she'd just give in. I swim to the edge where she's sitting comfortably. I come up and lean my arms against the pool's edge in front of Mandy. She avoids looking directly at me, and it grates on my nerves. This is getting frustrating. This beautiful, sexy woman is in the pool with me, and she's not even wearing a bikini. You're at a pool and you're wearing this ugly uniform, I tease, reaching up to tug at her loose pants. To my surprise, she jolts at my touch and a small giggle escapes her. Damn, she's ticklish in the ankles. Something snaps in me. This charade has got to stop. I want to cross the professional line more than ever. I reach up again, this time slipping my hand to touch her bare ankle. I won't go overboard, but what's wrong with giving in to this attraction? We're both adults, and I'm at my limit. I feel Mandy shiver at my cold touch, and I trail my hand higher. The next thing I know, I hear a squeak when she jumps back and slips. I try to catch her, but everything happened too fast. Before I know it, we both fall into the water. This isn't what I had in mind when I started teasing Mandy, but screw it. I don't know how to stop myself anymore. My body moves on its own, my mind preoccupied with a singular thought. I want her.
Chapter 6. Mandy. Olsen and I fall into the pool. Knowing that he's right behind me, my body tightens in trepidation as his breath brushes the back of my neck. I'm about to push him away, but I manage to stop myself, fearing that I might end up injuring him. Although the therapy requires discipline to fully recover, the possibility of a patient losing weight in the process is anticipated. Yet, as I turn around and begin to focus on his body, I notice the outline of his strong biceps and toned chest. Somehow, the therapy allowed him to gain additional muscles, making him look sturdy. Even though walking can be a challenge, his capability in terms of arm strength is unquestionable. Olsen studies me with that sexy, almost pretentious look on his face. His dark brown eyes leave me speechless. Any woman would die just to be in my place right now. Like what you're seeing, Olsen teases. Well, I can't blame you, though. Sometimes his confidence goes over the top, but I have to admit I do like what I'm seeing. I shake my head, dismissing the idea. Being romantically involved with a patient is one thing I stand against, and I'm not going to bend that rule. Not to anyone else, not even with Olsen. Of course, I like it when I see patients determined to recover, and I'm glad that your energy is returning. I reason, ignoring his remarks. Olsen doesn't say a word. I turn my back on him and decide to walk a little to my right, close to the corner. As I attempt to lift myself out of the pool, I realize he's following me. Slightly irritated by the thought that he can be playful and pull silly tricks on me, I swiftly move in the water, trying to catch him red-handed. But our bodies are now inches apart. For some reason, I refuse to look at him in the eye. Conscious of our distance, I froze, unable to think rationally. He takes another step closer, and I move another step back. It's almost as if I'm caught by the net of his presence, disabling me to understand how dangerous it could be for me to throw away my principle. He reaches for my arms, hitting me like a wave of paralysis in my body. Some part of me wanted more of that touch. However, another part of me wants to repel him. What are you doing? I stutter and avert my attention elsewhere. He still doesn't let go of his gentle grip while guiding me sideways. Olsen? Mandy, look at me. His low voice pulsates in my arteries, slightly increasing the beats per minute of my heart. This man is going to give me a stroke. Olsen, whatever you're planning, you need to stop. I demand, but my voice sounded weak and unconvincing. Are you commanding or pleading? He pulls me closer to him. We stand still in the waters, and I'm almost certain our bodies are hot for each other. He fluidly shifts his hands to my waists, and that's when my thoughts start to betray me. Olsen, I say, nearly begging, you can't do this to me. Can't I now? He lifts my chin and we lock eyes. I'm amazed how he's able to keep that eye contact without an ounce of reservation. Observing the water trickling down his face, his enticing charisma makes me suddenly feel wet for him. Darn the dirty thoughts. I want to pull myself away from the situation, but my body declines to be released from his clutches. He lowers his head close to mine, and our lips lightly touch. I think you want this more than I do. I close my eyes, ready to be engulfed by his kiss. Our lips move without restraint as we hungrily, yet slowly take time in doing so. Olsen strokes my back with his hand, and I let loose of myself, putting my arms around his neck and drawing him closer, our breaths lustful and sensual. I plunge my tongue into his mouth, which only intensifies our desires as we pour our emotions together. The kiss speaks volumes of what our bodies truly wanted. While I caress Olsen's hair, his hands roam freely under my clothes. I could feel his hands close to my chest, but he teasingly avoids it on purpose, making me a little annoyed. Ow! He suddenly stops. You bit me. Can I now? I raise my eyebrow and a smile spreads across his face. I can't believe that this is happening right now. You are going to pay for that. In a split second, he lifts me without difficulty and tucks my legs to his pelvis. He cups my face and once again reaches for my lips. Suddenly, the adrenaline rises, and I hold my breath as we collide in another round of kisses. Like a drug, I'm hedonistically overdosed in the bliss of this ecstasy. Feeling our bodies react to every parted lips and stolen pauses of breaths, I can now say that I'm guilty of crossing the line between being involved with a patient and the ideology that I uphold. I can't say I don't want this, but I'm unable to stop myself. But the rooted version of me has disappeared, and I'm now left with the reality that I broke my rule in permitting myself to be swooned over by Olsen's touch. For heaven's sake, Mandy, it's only a goddamn touch. Regardless, what's done is done. I can only come clean that he isn't solely responsible for the outcome. I made a choice as well. The concoction of our actions is driving me to my extreme. With him, I'm vulnerable. I could have said no, but I willingly surrender and tolerated this to happen. I know I want it. No, I want him. While the steamy kiss skyrockets our passion, Olsen tenderly grasps my chest. I know my body all too well, and I want him to take me there. I could care less for the repercussions. There's no turning back right now.
Chapter 7. Olsen. Our lips finally part from the long kiss. Mandy's lips look swollen, and I watch her touch them, kind of tempting me to kiss her some more. I must say, this is one of the best kisses I'll never forget. Unlike others, Mandy's body doesn't lie. She's like an open book, transparent and easy to comprehend. If it weren't for those innocent chocolate brown eyes, I'd mistakenly say, she's promiscuous enough to lure me like this. Time must have stopped because I'm not certain how long we've maintained our sanity intact as we make out in the corner. Mandy's arms remain tightly wrapped around my neck while I support her with my body and hands. I carelessly kiss her neck, noting how smooth her skin is, and then she utters a feminine moan, close to a whisper. Every time she makes the sound, it turns me on. I couldn't get enough of her. My member is hard as a rock, ready to pounce. But at the back of my mind, this place isn't romantic, and I want our first to be memorable. Not now, Olsen. There's plenty of time to think about how you can satisfy her. You're better than this. I stop myself from pursuing the obvious. Instead, I continue to kiss from her forehead down to her neckline. I detect her body language yearning for more, but I can't give what she wants at the moment. Mandy stares at me with uncertainty, wanting to understand why I stopped. Her eyes burned in fury, hinting that she's probably embarrassed. "What's wrong?" she asks coldly. Sensing the monotony in her voice, I attempt to pacify her by taking her hand and kiss it. But she withdraws and shakes her head. "No, you're playing with my feelings, aren't you?" "I'm not." But before I could finish my response, she immediately releases her legs from my hips and shoves me away. Leaning her forearm on the pool's edge, she hurriedly tries to get out of the water. "Mandy, wait, listen! Don't touch me," she demands, but I ignore it and yank her back in the pool with ease. "Look at me, please," I quietly ask her. Mandy turns to me calmly. "I'm not playing with your feelings, okay? If only you knew how much I'm controlling myself, but I can't do it here. I respect you, and you deserve to be treated well. I do like you, Mandy. I like you too much that doing it here in the pool disrespects that chance of showing you how I feel." "Perhaps you're right," she says, nodding, her tone composed. "How stupid could I be? I can't even be kissing you right now. This is wrong." There's something with the way she answered that sounded like she's pleased, rather than regretting. She's a woman who values her self-worth. Considering our relationship, she's my therapist, and I'm a patient. I know it's a must for her to keep things on a professional level, but some circumstances can't be avoided. I guess we're on the same boat. "I promise I'll make it up to you," I whisper, and peck her on the cheek. Mandy's eyes lighten up in excitement. The feeling is mutual, and I'm looking forward to our next encounter. "I have to go." She manages to climb up and marches out of the area, leaving me. My legs become flaccid from remembering the sensual kiss. Floating on my back, I'm in a state of cloud 9. Recalling her soft moans of pleasure, I'm ecstatic to listen to more of it when the time comes. I didn't sleep a wink last night. Mandy is giving me a hard time to be at peace. Each time I close my eyes, my memory recounts the details of her full lips and sexy moans. The next day, I visit the doctor to check on my leg. As I step into his office, he comments about the improvement in terms of my gait, posture, and movement. Instructing me to sit on the bed, he draws the white curtain, signaling for me to come forward. While sitting, he starts taking the braces off. I feel a gush of relief. The liberation of being able to move freely sends me in euphoria. "Well, look at you!" The doctor smiles in satisfaction. "All right, let's do a quick test. Shall we?" He walks in front of his desk, pulls a chair, and places it a few meters away from where it stood. "Okay, what I want you to do is walk toward the chair, sit on it for a few seconds, stand up, walk back to me, then turn around and walk back to the chair to sit." "I can do that," I utter in confidence and comply with his directions. Overall, I feel good as new. The doctor observes me and he nods in approval before instructing another test called the wall test for posture. Standing with the back of my head, shoulders, and buttocks touching the wall, he requests for me to place my heels 6 inches out from the wall. Nodding again, he pats my back and gestures for us to walk back to his table. "Okay." He scribbles something on my chart and taps his pen once. "Great. You've really improved, Olsen. The therapy is working like wonders for you, isn't it?" Suddenly, I remember Mandy's lustful expression. I bob my head aimlessly. "Yeah." "I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, after doing the quick tests, you've greatly improved, although I noticed that whenever you walk, there's a slight evident limping on your leg. But that shouldn't be a big deal. Can I start playing rugby?" I interject. "Why not? Just give it 2 more weeks and you should be able to play without a worry," he assures. "And I still want you to continue with your therapy." I shake the doctor's hand and hug him, deeply thanking him for the best news. Most of the credit should be given to Mandy. If it weren't for her determination, I wouldn't be back on my feet. Looking back during our first meeting, she clearly laid out her intention. I know I wasn't jerk. She proved that my leg isn't the problem but myself. Mandy Wells became my asylum in the duration of my therapy. She's the only person who believed in me. For that, I'll be forever in debt to her.
Chapter 8. Mandy, I'm screwed. I can't bring myself to face him knowing I made out with him yesterday. Thank heavens he stopped midway, or else I would have gotten carried away. Congratulations on being a flirt, Mandy. I sarcastically applaud my stupidity. Tossing and turning on the bed last night had me thinking of our contact. Putting a lot of effort to focus on sleeping is meaningless. Even after counting all 100 sheep in my head, all I could imagine was his strong muscles and gentle kisses. To simply describe it, we were taken over by our carnal desires. Today, I'm given the perfect timing to think about things thoroughly. I call in earlier this morning that I need a day off, and my manager doesn't question it. At least I won't have to come up with an excuse. Luckily, Olsen's scheduled to visit his doctor too. For the time being, I can reflect and consider having an alternative on how I should keep myself away from him, which is virtually impossible. It's not that I don't want to finish his therapy sessions with me. All I want is for him to recover. However, this is becoming a foreseeable inconvenience. Personally, being involved with a patient is unprofessional on many levels. I may sound two-faced, but I love my profession. Maybe, just maybe, I like being involved with Olsen too. Could I be really giving into the pleasure? I'm particularly torn between choosing what I need and want. This whole ordeal of doing what I think is right and following my heart puts a strenuous tension on my nerves. Morally, I need to ascertain the principles that are the foundation of my success. The accomplishment and reputation that I carefully maintain might be put to waste. Unfortunately, I've already given up on that morality the moment we kissed. I'm in a complete mess because the memory begins to replay inside my head. Powerless against his wicked gaze, I'm eager to have another moment to taste his lips. What the hell are you doing, Mandy? This isn't the time to daydream about the impulsive foreplay you had with Olsen. I can tell this isn't good. Changing his therapist should benefit us both. We're at the peak of our career, and that's important above all else. Any distraction should be immediately severed. Moreover, I have no regrets after meeting him or indulging in that kiss. Ending it early without investing too many emotions is preferable. Scanning the names on my phone book, I search for the best person to call. Olsen is kind of stubborn and demanding. Selecting the ideal therapist is a lot harder than expected. Who should I go for? Arnold's name pops into my mind. He's dealt with challenging individuals before. Helping Olsen doing his regular exercises shouldn't be a problem. Even though Arnold can be lackluster in his work at times, he has more than enough patience to put up with Olsen's brashness. Besides, Arnold is a person I can rely on. I call his number straight away. Yep. Arnold answers it nonchalantly. Are you busy? I ask and hear him clear his throat. Nope, I'm good. What's up? He replies casually. It sounds like you're in trouble. Not really, I remark. Okay, so what's going on? Do you need help? Arnold inquires. He may be lackluster, but Arnold is witty. It's as if he's already known what I'm about to say next. I'm sure you've heard of Olsen Harte. Hearing myself speak his name brings fluttering sensations of anxiety. Yes, I'm aware of him. Why? The tone in his voice changes, now sounding curious. Is that why you called me? I was wondering if you can take over the regular exercises that Olsen Harte is currently undergoing. I don't understand why you're letting me take over the exercises. Is there a good reason why I should do it for you, though? He asks, while breathing deeply. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm saying no. But you're not the type of person to pass on the job to someone else. Suffice to say, I find this very bizarre. Arnold emphasizes the last word. If I don't give anything that'd convince him, I may be seeing more of Olsen again. I have the feeling that the next time we see each other, we'll be on each other's lips again. The least I could offer to myself is being less hypocritical about where I stand with Olsen. I'd be lying if I said I'm not attracted to him. That's the very reason why I have to draw the line between us. Something's going on between you two, isn't it? Arnold lets out a short laugh. Then he connects the dots and appends to his previous inquiry. I can't believe you, Mandy. Come on, Arnold. It was just a one-time kiss. I say to him, unexpectedly spoiling my guarded secret. I gasp upon realizing what I just did. Okay, that isn't part of the plan. I know. He laughs some more, and it sounded like he's in absolute disbelief. Well, who am I to judge? Now, you know the reason. Will you do it or not? I respond, slightly annoyed. Looks to me you've got no other friend who'll understand, he teases. Give me a second, will you? I'll be right back. Waiting impatiently for Arnold triggers the memory in the pool with Olsen again. Shaking my head, I try to ward off my recollection of him, especially that irresistible kiss. Jesus Christ, I'm in a lot of serious trouble than I thought. I could hear muffled conversations from the background, and then Arnold returns seconds later on the line. Apparently, he's still engaged in another conversation. Finally, he gets back to me. All right, I'm back. So, where were we again? He asks. Oh yeah, the one-time kiss? Stop it, Arnold. I sigh. Truth be told, I'm embarrassed. Please do tell me you're going to help me. If he finds out that his therapist has changed, you know I'm going to take the beating, right? He verifies. I get his point, but I don't dare to put on a good face, not when I'm bound by my principles. Lucky you, I just finished with a VIP patient. Guess I'm all yours. I owe you this big time. I keep thanking him and give quick details about Olsen's case before ending the call. Closing my eyes, I'm relieved to know I won't be seeing him tomorrow. Chapter 16. Mandy. All of our hard work, and it's finally come down to this. At long last, after 3 months of grueling physical therapy, for Olsen, he's ready to play again. I'm so proud of what he's achieved. Good thing we're able to turn around his outlook about playing rugby. I remember that time when I first met him. He didn't care about anything. Everyone around him was saying that he wouldn't be able to play anymore. More than the injury affecting his body, the negative thoughts affected his attitude as well. But look at where he is right now. I'm so elated for him. In addition to the regularly scheduled therapy sessions, Olsen also started going back on the field about 2 weeks ago. He ran around, did some exercises, just to get the feeling once again. When the news finally came that he's going to be put on the roster and be in an actual match, he couldn't believe it. Granted that this is just a local game, he couldn't hide his excitement. We know that this is the first step closer to his dreams of playing again. Good luck, Olsen, I say before we part ways. Remember to just enjoy the game and don't push yourself too hard, okay? Yes, I will. I'm serious. I don't want to bring you out of the stadium in a stretcher. Do you understand? He kisses me on the forehead. Of course, I'm going to keep that in mind. Let's have a little celebration after the game, shall we? I'd like that, I reply. I'll just be in the bleachers cheering for you. Come find me later. We share a short, sweet kiss, and then we part ways. He goes to the locker room while I find an empty seat. I settle myself in my post when I think I see someone familiar. I look closely and realize that it's Marco, my brother. Waving my hands wildly, I shout to him, "Marco!" He looks around, trying to find the voice that's calling out to him. Finally, he spots me. He motions for me to come over. I go down to where he is, and we share a brief hug. "I'm surprised to see you here," I tell him. "Is your team playing?" "Yes, I'm coaching the Navy Blue rugby team. I've been their coach for only a few months, so I'm a little bit nervous about today." "How about you? Why are you here?" I hesitate for a moment. I haven't really told him that I'm dating someone. One of my therapy patients is playing for the first time again today. I'm here to observe. He's playing for the other team? Yes, he is. Don't worry, I won't be biased. I tease him. I always root for the better team. We laugh together. The announcer gives a time check and says that the game would start in 15 minutes. Well, I guess that's my cue. Are you going to drop by the house this weekend? Marco asks. Yes. I'll stop by around lunchtime. I'll see you there if I couldn't catch up with you after the game. I go back to the bleachers and watch the game from there. Every time Olsen's team scores, I cheer and shout with all my might. When Marco's team gets a point, I also clap loudly. The other people around me must have thought I'm nuts. Olsen's team is on the lead. If they keep this up, I think they're going to win. I'm so happy for him. I can already picture our celebration later. I'm tapping my fingers on my lap to release all the nervous energy inside. Just a few more yards and this will be over. 3 minutes until the game ends and Olsen's team is in favor. They got this in the bag. I can feel the adrenaline rushing through my veins even though I'm not in the field. Out of nowhere, my brother appears and drags me off the stands. What's wrong, Marco? I ask. Home. Now. What? Why? What is this about? He doesn't answer. I try to get away from him, but his grip on my arm is far too strong to break. I didn't have any choice but to follow him. We drove all the way to our parents' house. Damn it, Marco. You have no right to do this to me. Can you please explain what's happening? I exclaim. He paces back and forth across the living room, but he doesn't answer. Answer me, or else I'm leaving right now. Finally, he faces me. Stay the hell away from Olsen. My head spins. I'm so confused. Why? Because he plays for another team that beat you today? That's so childish. No. Then why? Explain it to me so that I can understand all this stuff. Olsen was the reason for my injury that happened when I was in college, he states ominously. It feels as if cold water was thrown all over me. I'm in shock and I don't know what to say. Because of what happened to my brother, I chose to take up a course in physical therapy and vowed to be the best therapist in New York City. Now he's telling me this. Please, Mandy, you can date anyone else that you'd fancy, but stay away from Olsen. I beg you, he whispers. I can't think straight. I run upstairs to my old bedroom. I'm devastated and I need to gather all my thoughts. I drop myself on the bed and cry my eyes out. Marco is the only family that I have. Our parents died when I was still in high school, and my brother looked after me. We've been there for each other through everything, but Olsen is the one who opened up my heart and showed me love. What am I going to do with this predicament? I can't possibly for the life of me pick between the two most important men in my life. I can't, and I wouldn't choose between Marco and Olsen. Chapter 10. Mandy. As the kiss intensifies, my knees weaken. I'm not the type to be easily swayed, but Olsen may have already captured my heart. The growing affection propels me to do more than just the kiss. We hesitantly part as Olsen trails kisses down my jaw. He swaddles me and continues to kiss down to my neckline. Then he pecks me on the cheek, his lips moist and red. Olsen, I say, giggling. What? He murmurs. I miss you. I'm being serious. I playfully nudge at his chest. While cuddling me, his hands caress my body. Hear me out. I'm all ears. He finally breaks. I tidy my clothes and extend the bouquet to him. What are these for? It's a get-well-soon gesture. I respond with a warm smile. Taking the flowers, I hear him say, "Thank you." Men are supposed to give women flowers, not the other way around. Consider this gesture as a sign of my decision too. What decision? He carefully asks, squinting his eyes. Despite having decided on passing the regular exercises to Arnold, I'm unsettled by the guilt of not letting Olsen know. With my hasty resolution, things could have worsened. In the end, my feet led me here. I finally made up my mind. I'm going to live with no regrets. Before you answer, Mandy, come on in. He walks inside, and I follow behind. Observing the interiors of his home, I make a quick observation that he's the minimalist type. He asks if he can get me anything. Water, please, I say. And he disappears in the hallway leading to the kitchen. Seconds later, I hear his footsteps approach, and I turn around to see him. Thank you. I take the glass from his hand, slightly brushing his skin against mine. He faintly jerks his hand. Perhaps we're sharing the same sensation. As soon as I finish drinking, he puts the glass aside and rests on the sofa. A mischievous grin spreads across his face. He taps the space beside him, indicating for me to sit. So, I was saying, I begin. Sit down with me. Olsen cuts me off. Raising a brow, he adds, I won't bite. Anyway, I resume, completely ignoring his remarks. I wanted to tell you what I've decided. Okay. The air around him changes as he overtly chooses to demonstrate he's being serious too. I can't continue being your therapist. The words must have astonished him because he gapes his mouth. You confuse me. He looks away for a split second. You returned my kiss, yet you're telling me you don't want to be my therapist? Olsen, you don't understand. Which part didn't I understand? He objects. Would you let me finish? He doesn't respond and takes this initiative to carry on. I'm not playing around if that's what you think. I like you, Olsen, and this is the reason why I can't continue being your therapist. His grim face lights up, and I explain to him that Arnold might be taking over the exercises, but I'll be sticking around to monitor his progress. My goal hasn't changed, and that is to have him recover. This is the only way I can think of if we decide to pursue our relationship. I may no longer work as his therapist, but I consider myself to be someone he can rely on. Moreover, Arnold should be able to continue giving Olsen the same quality of treatment he has received from me. Don't worry, Arnold is a good guy. I'll be here for you every step of the way and keep an eye on you. I pledge. Then you should monitor me now, he demands, putting a hand over mine. But you have Arnold to do that. He's here, isn't he? About that? I told him to leave. He triumphantly admits. No one else is in here. It's just you and me. Speaking of which, my muscles feel sore. I think I overstretched a little bit and need a massage. I'll tell Arnold to come here tomorrow. I pull out the phone from my bag to send Arnold a text, but Olsen stalls me by scooting closer. Can't you do it instead? He attempts to sway me. His muscles become rigid and defined. I've always admired his stature and how he's able to keep himself fit. There are times I wonder what he'd look like naked. Presently, I'm haunted by the naked images of Olsen that are keeping my thoughts busy. It's a mystery how I keep myself from being disconcerted during the exercises I've done with him so far. Any woman would be captivated, trapped under his spell. No one can avoid his piercing gaze. Although they appear gentle and compassionate at the moment, I can't believe I'm enjoying this private indulgence. Olsen draws closer and whispers in my ear, I want you to touch me, Mandy. I could feel the lump pass through my throat, trying to decipher what he meant by that. A lot of things come to mind, and I couldn't react. Sitting right next to him is making me feel queasy, especially knowing that we're both alone. The worst part of it all is I'm powerless to say no.
Chapter 11. Olsen. I take Mandy to my room. Persuading her to give me a massage is something unexpected. The impromptu request suddenly excites me, wondering what will happen next. I take off my sweatshirt in front of her and she averts her eyes. I smile at the thought of unintentionally teasing her. Wearing nothing but my boxers, I walk past her and lie face down on the bed. When she doesn't move, I turn to face her. Shall we start? I motion my head at the bedside table. The lotion should work in lieu of massage oil, right? She quietly nods and approaches the edge of the bed. She slowly walks, killing time. It's as if she's planning to escape the trap that I've laid for her. I could hear her heavy breathing while she pops open the bottle cap. Hearing her squeeze the lotion on her hands is oddly satisfying. I can only imagine what those hands can do. Mandy gently rubs the product on her hands. The friction is causing a rush of blood in my body, an aphrodisiac stimulating my sexual desires. We haven't even started yet, but I'm aware that my member stiffens by that very gesture. The moment her soft hands touch my skin, its warm vibe purifies my soul. I know that it's not how a person with a sound mind would describe, but really, the sensation is enigmatic. There's something with the way she strokes her hands that's in between innocence and immorality, although I could tell the stroke signifies the latter. Ah, yes, I groan. It feels good to have a great massage. The tension in my muscles eases up, allowing me to relax. I point to my lower back close to my glutes, asking her to hit the spot. She skids her hands down in a circular motion as her hands glide inside the boxers, nearly touching my ass. Sorry, she apologizes and withdraws. She changes course and touches the part where I originally asked her to. Apology accepted, I teasingly respond while peeking at her. She skids to my biceps and skillfully massages them as if she's kneading dough. I study her facial expressions and surmise that she's seriously focused on massaging me. I gaze at her full lips. I've tasted those before, and I'm eager to taste them again. Can you please move and face your back to me? She requests, and I comply. A shift to the right, and Mandy applies pressure on my forearms, sliding from the rear of my biceps up to my neck. The prickling sensation radiates all over my body as she carefully moves her hands across the opposite shoulder. Now can you please position your legs as if you're walking and slightly bend your body backward? Sure thing. I follow her instructions, and she immediately guides my arms forward, giving it a little bit of a stretch. The aroma of faint vanilla and orange tickles my nose as she leans closer. I notice her chest brush against my skin, lightly encouraging my hardness. The massage goes on for about 3 minutes, and she requests to change positions again. If I move to face her, she'll notice my hardness, but at the same time I wish she'd pay attention that her touch is initiating arousal. This is how much she affects me. With just a touch, I'm instantly blown away with lust. Unable to see my stiff member, she furtively spins and grabs the bottle, pumping more lotion on her hands. Studying the curves on her body eventually signals me to seize her, pulling her closer to my chest. Mandy ends up on top of me. We lock gazes for a few seconds until she realizes that my member is poking her belly. Oh my God, she gasps, removing herself on top of me. But I clasp her tight in my arms, struggling to break away. Don't. I'm not sure what a don't means, Mandy. My raspy voice echoes in the quiet room. Can't you see it badly needs help? No. She tries to stop me, but I just don't hear the refusal in her tone. Mandy gives me that expression she once showed in the pool. This is crazy. Coming into a man's bedroom alone is crazy enough. You should have thought about it before coming in here. Mandy tries to wiggle her way out of my arms, but eventually yields. She glances up with a resigned look on her face. She parts her full lips and nods while closing her eyes. Okay, she surrenders. And much to our distress, this platform has failed to let us share the upcoming dirty details because of their guideline restrictions. But don't worry. You can grab the good stuff from BWWM and get 40% off with code VIXA40. Now, let's get back to the story.
I hope you're enjoying this audiobook by Vixavon. If you want to keep hearing more audiobooks, then please hit that subscribe button and like the video. It may seem insignificant, but the more people that subscribe, the easier it is to produce more audiobooks in the future. So please, help us out and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, And now back to your book.
Chapter 12. Mandy. If you want to know where this spicy scene is headed, you won't be able to hear it now due to this platform's guidelines and restrictions. But we want to make it up to you by offering the unabridged version of any Vixa audiobook, including this one, for 40% off. All you need to do is go to VixaVonRomance.com and use code VIXA40 at checkout. Are you enjoying the story so far? Let's get back into it. I splash my face with water and stare at myself in the mirror. I can't believe what my decision to be with him led me into. Well, no more holding back now. I'm no longer his main therapist, and we can continue to screw each other's brains out. I step outside the bathroom and see Olsen lying on the bed, appearing to be solemn. I climb up the bed and rest my head on his toned chest. We start talking about how his career began and what influenced him to play rugby. Hearing his stories, I'm fascinated by his dedication to the sport. "Can I ask you a stupid question?" he asks out of the blue. "Sure." "Whatever the question is, I don't mind answering. Why did you decide to stop being my therapist and choose to be with me?" The question caught me off guard. I have to say, I'm not prepared for this. Nevertheless, I want to be honest. "Because I like you," I respond. That was quick. He laughs and caresses my skin with his fingertips. "I'm sure you know how I feel." This isn't the first time that Olsen has relayed his feelings to me. He has been very honest from the start. I can't help but feel troubled by the outcome of our relationship. After all, he's one of the hottest rugby players in the country. The name he has built for himself isn't an easy path to take. I just know it because I've been there. Even though we may have different careers, society can be daunting. If there's one thing we have in common, that's our devotion towards the goal we have set for ourselves. "I haven't had the chance to thank you," he says. I lean my elbow on the bed to properly study his face. He stops caressing my skin. Instead, he slides his hand at the back of my shirt. There he continues to touch me. "Why are you thanking me?" I ask, searching for a clue in his eyes. Honestly, I was about to lose hope after my injury. He relaxes his head, staring at the ceiling. "Have you come across with people telling you that you're a hopeless case?" When I didn't answer, he resumes, "I was going through depression, and many didn't know about it. Hearing people say I can no longer play rugby is like literally cutting all my limbs off." I remain silent. I was disheartened. Most of them didn't want to take me in. But you know what? I can't blame anyone other than myself. I let the emotions get the better of me, preventing me from recovering. "Olsen, I want to apologize for giving him a hard time too." Reflecting on his words, it dawned on me how I detested him back then. Losing what's important to you can be traumatic. Then I thought about my brother. He became a different person when the doctors told him about the bad news. Truthfully, his injury severed a lot of good friends, cutting them out of his life. "I'm sorry you had to go through all that." I touch his face and beam a pleasant smile. "I want you to know that I'll always be here for you, no matter what." Thank you. Revealing this other side of him has proved that he trusts me. I'll always be thankful for that. Our heads draw closer, and we start kissing. It looks like things are getting too hot for this platform's guidelines, and we don't want to risk this audiobook getting removed. That's why you can only find the spicy books at VixaVonRomance.com. Use code VIXA40 for a 40% discount on all your favorite stories. Now, let's get back to it.
Chapter 13. Olsen. Wow, even that word is not enough to explain what I'm feeling at this moment. Mandy's blown my head off, both literally and figuratively. There's no denying that I've been coveting her since the first few times that we've had our therapy sessions. She's always been the subject of my fantasies, whether I'm asleep or awake. I've always dreamt of having Mandy in my arms, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. I also didn't expect it to be like this. I hate to burst your bubble when things are just getting started, but this platform won't allow us to air the steamy content coming up in this chapter. If you want us to keep bringing you free audiobooks, we have to abide by their rules. Luckily for you, the unabridged version of every Vic Vaughn audiobook is available at vicsavanromance.com. And with promo code VICSA40, you can get 40% off any digital product. Let's get back to the story.
Chapter 14. Mandy. I roll to my other side to check the time. It's almost 5 p.m. We've had quite a nap after our day's exertions. Very carefully, I try to move away from Olsen's arms that have trapped me in the bed. He stirs, and I hold my breath, waiting for what will happen next. Good thing he just changed positions. I grab my dress and put it on. Searching for my underwear took quite a bit more time, as I'm not exactly sure where it went in all the wild frenzy that has happened. Finally, I find it wedged in between the bed and the drawer. There's a chair across the bed, and I sit there while I try to gather my thoughts. This is definitely not what I had in mind when I dropped by for a visit. I just wanted to see how Olsen got along with Arnold, and maybe give him some pointers on how to handle the exercises. I planned to talk to Olsen afterward to explain why I had to transfer his therapy to Arnold. But then things got mixed up, and one thing led to another. All the emotions that Olsen and I kept bottled up inside ultimately exploded. I can't exactly explain it, but it's very liberating. Now, we don't need to put up a facade and pretend like nothing's going on between us. Hey, beautiful. Olsen's deep voice pulls me out of my reverie. I smile at him. Would you like to come back here with me in bed? He asks, enticing me. Although I'd really like to take him up on his offer, I know there are other things that we need to do, like eat. Probably. I think you've got enough workout for today, Mr. Harte. I don't want you hurting yourself and getting injured again. It's the therapist speaking. He jokes. But you do have a valid point. So, any suggestions on what else we can do? I stop and think for a while. I've got several, in fact. But let me use the bathroom first. Olsen nods and I go inside. I wash my face and use a washcloth to wipe my arms and legs. Then I brush my hair so that I'll look a little bit more decent. When I come out of the bathroom, Olsen's no longer in the bedroom. Olsen? Out here in the kitchen, my dear, he answers. I walk outside and find him standing in front of the open refrigerator. Are you hungry? I ask. He closes the door and faces me. Yes? I can actually hear my stomach rumbling. Must be from all the exercise that we did earlier. He smiles. But unfortunately, there's nothing ready to eat in the fridge. Do you fancy some delivery? Why don't we just cook? I bet there's stuff in there that we can use. Olsen's face changes from playful to serious. I've got a confession to make. I don't know how to cook. But I do know how to operate the microwave and heat things. I laugh. Then what's all of these pots and pans doing here in your kitchen? Decoration? Olsen replies. Our helper comes here thrice a week. She cooks the food and stores it in the fridge, so I just pop them in the microwave if I want to eat. I open the fridge, surveying the contents inside. Next, I ask Olsen if he's got some pantry staples, and he points to the cupboards. They're always stocked, I believe. I look at what's inside, and I'm quite surprised that he almost got everything. I guess his helper doesn't want to run out of any ingredients. It's okay, I say. Don't bother with the delivery anymore. I'm going to cook dinner for us if that's all right with you. He looks at me in awe. Really? You do that? I'm a woman of many talents, Mr. Harte, but I've got to warn you. You might forget your name after you've tasted my cooking. Now, I'm curious, he comments. Go ahead and treat the kitchen as if it's yours. Do you want me to make myself scarce, or is it okay if I watch you? You can watch if you want. It won't bother me. You might even learn a trick or two so that you can fend for yourself, I say. I take the chicken breast fillets from the freezer, then get some pasta, cream, and cheese. I decided to make chicken Alfredo. I also start chopping garlic, onion, and other herbs for the garlic bread. I think our meal would go best with wine. Olsen gets up, selects a bottle of white wine, and puts it in the freezer. As I cook, we talk and get to know more about each other. Do you play other sports except for rugby? I ask. When I was younger, I used to swim, but I didn't do it competitively. My mom thought it's a good life skill, so she made sure I learned the strokes. But other than that, it's mostly rugby my entire life. I start to saute my aromatics. How about you? What made you decide to be a physical therapist? He inquires. My family's heavily into rugby. My dad used to play when he was younger, and my older brother followed suit. I've seen a lot of injuries that happen to the players, and that motivated me to become a therapist. And I get to be lucky that you're the one who's treating me. I try to hide my smile. Within 30 minutes, our meal is done. I prepare a plate for us on the dining table, while Olsen brings out the cutlery and the glasses. We sit down. That smells wonderful, he comments. We spend the rest of the night eating, drinking, and talking about a lot of things about ourselves. I've never enjoyed a night as much as this.
Chapter 15. Olsen, are you nervous? Mandy asks. She pushes my back while I'm trying to reach my toes. She's helping me do stretches before I go out into the field and practice. I won't deny that I am, I reply. But beyond the jitters, I'm also excited. It feels as if I'm doing this for the first time again. I'm truly grateful to have this second chance. I stand up, take Mandy's hand and kiss it. A big part of what I am right now, I owe it to you. If you didn't believe in me and pushed me to become better, I might still be that bitter person who's angry at everything and everyone. Mandy puts her hands on top of mine and gives them a small squeeze. I'm so glad to be a part of your journey. She continues helping me perform a few more exercises to warm up my muscles and ensure that I won't get another injury. A few minutes later, I hear the blow of our coach's whistle. It's time for practice. I give Mandy a quick kiss on the cheek before running to the field. The practice lasts for 3 hours and I'm dead tired after, but I also feel happy with all the endorphins running through my body. Mandy's already at the hospital for her shift, so I just send her a message to let her know that I'm done with the practice. I'm already at home when Mandy replies during her break. She reminds me to do some additional cooling down stretches after taking a shower, and I follow her advice. The warm water relaxes my muscles and relieves the soreness. I know I'll get used to this again in the future, but for now I need to take it slow and listen to what my body tells me. I can't push it beyond my current limits. I open the fridge and spy the meatball sandwich that our helper made earlier. I take it and quickly heat it in the oven. I pour myself a glass of orange juice and sit down at the bar to eat my dinner. The fact that I'm able to play rugby again after what happened to me is nothing short of a miracle. Every day that I wake up, I'm always reminded of this fact. I hope that my story will also inspire other people who've experienced the same thing that I did. I hope that they too find that ray of light in their lives that will encourage them to go on. Mandy is my angel. I can't help but smile each time that I think of her. She's my cheerleader and #1 supporter. I'm overwhelmed with happiness and gratitude because, right now, I have it all. I don't think I could ask for anything better. My health is back, and now I'm able to pursue the career that I've always dreamed of. Most of all, I found love. Other people go through their lives looking for that someone who'll fill the void in their hearts, and I'm lucky that I already found Mandy. She's my soulmate. After finishing my food, I clean up and load the dirty dishes into the dishwasher. I walk to my room, open my cabinet, and retrieve a small box hidden under all of my shirts. I open the box and take out the engagement ring that I got for Mandy about 2 weeks ago. It's a solitaire diamond ring and a platinum band. Simple and elegant. Just the exact ring for her. My relationship with Mandy has been growing deeper and stronger each day. I know deep in my heart that she's the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. I'm not going to let her go. I plan to propose to Mandy tomorrow after the game, but I'm not yet sure how I'm going to do it. I'm thinking of doing it in the field in front of a lot of people, but Mandy might not like the idea as she's more of a private person. As a backup plan, I also reserved a table in one of our favorite restaurants. I might pop the question there. I'll just see how it goes tomorrow. Whatever the result of our game might be, I know I'm going to be a winner once Mandy accepts my proposal. It's game day, and adrenaline is coursing through my veins. Mandy made sure that she's got her day off today so that she can accompany me, both as my girlfriend and as my physical therapist. She doesn't want anything untoward happening to me. I'm back at the field, and I'm playing almost like I once did. The smell of the ball in my hands and my feet running through the field seems surreal. I've got to concentrate and make sure that my head stays in the game. We're in the lead, and I'm confident that we're going to win this one. That also means proposing to Mandy here is out of the question because there'll be a local media frenzy afterward. I don't want to steal the thunder from the entire team. It will be at the restaurant then. We're down to the last 15 minutes of the game, and we're on timeout. The coach explains the play that we need to execute. I gaze at the stands where I can see Mandy cheering and clapping for us. I quickly wave to her, and she sends a flying kiss toward me. This play depends on me, and I'm going to make her proud. That I'm going to make her my fiancé.
Chapter 16. Mandy. All of our hard work, and it's finally come down to this. At long last, after 3 months of grueling physical therapy, for Olsen, he's ready to play again. I'm so proud of what he's achieved. Good thing we're able to turn around his outlook about playing rugby. I remember that time when I first met him. He didn't care about anything. Everyone around him was saying that he wouldn't be able to play anymore. More than the injury affecting his body, the negative thoughts affected his attitude as well. But look at where he is right now. I'm so elated for him. In addition to the regularly scheduled therapy sessions, Olsen also started going back on the field about 2 weeks ago. He ran around, did some exercises, just to get the feeling once again. When the news finally came that he's going to be put on the roster and be in an actual match, he couldn't believe it. Granted that this is just a local game, he couldn't hide his excitement. We know that this is the first step closer to his dreams of playing again. Good luck, Olsen, I say before we part ways. Remember to just enjoy the game and don't push yourself too hard, okay? Yes, I will. I'm serious. I don't want to bring you out of the stadium in a stretcher. Do you understand? He kisses me on the forehead. Of course, I'm going to keep that in mind. Let's have a little celebration after the game, shall we? I'd like that, I reply. I'll just be in the bleachers cheering for you. Come find me later. We share a short, sweet kiss, and then we part ways. He goes to the locker room while I find an empty seat. I settle myself in my post when I think I see someone familiar. I look closely and realize that it's Marco, my brother. Waving my hands wildly, I shout to him, "Marco!" He looks around, trying to find the voice that's calling out to him. Finally, he spots me. He motions for me to come over. I go down to where he is, and we share a brief hug. "I'm surprised to see you here," I tell him. "Is your team playing?" "Yes, I'm coaching the Navy Blue rugby team. I've been their coach for only a few months, so I'm a little bit nervous about today." "How about you? Why are you here?" I hesitate for a moment. I haven't really told him that I'm dating someone. One of my therapy patients is playing for the first time again today. I'm here to observe. "He's playing for the other team?" "Yes, he is." "Don't worry, I won't be biased." I tease him. "I always root for the better team." We laugh together. The announcer gives a time check and says that the game would start in 15 minutes. Well, I guess that's my cue. Are you going to drop by the house this weekend? Marco asks. Yes. I'll stop by around lunchtime. I'll see you there if I couldn't catch up with you after the game. I go back to the bleachers and watch the game from there. Every time Olsen's team scores, I cheer and shout with all my might. When Marco's team gets a point, I also clap loudly. The other people around me must have thought I'm nuts. Olsen's team is on the lead. If they keep this up, I think they're going to win. I'm so happy for him. I can already picture our celebration later. I'm tapping my fingers on my lap to release all the nervous energy inside. Just a few more yards and this will be over. 3 minutes until the game ends and Olsen's team is in favor. They got this in the bag. I can feel the adrenaline rushing through my veins even though I'm not in the field. Out of nowhere, my brother appears and drags me off the stands. What's wrong, Marco? I ask. Home. Now. What? Why? What is this about? He doesn't answer. I try to get away from him, but his grip on my arm is far too strong to break. I didn't have any choice but to follow him. We drove all the way to our parents' house. Damn it, Marco. You have no right to do this to me. Can you please explain what's happening? I exclaim. He paces back and forth across the living room, but he doesn't answer. Answer me, or else I'm leaving right now. Finally, he faces me. Stay the hell away from Olsen. My head spins. I'm so confused. Why? Because he plays for another team that beat you today? That's so childish. No. Then why? Explain it to me so that I can understand all this stuff. Olsen was the reason for my injury that happened when I was in college, he states ominously. It feels as if cold water was thrown all over me. I'm in shock and I don't know what to say. Because of what happened to my brother, I chose to take up a course in physical therapy and vowed to be the best therapist in New York City. Now he's telling me this. Please, Mandy, you can date anyone else that you'd fancy, but stay away from Olsen. I beg you, he whispers. I can't think straight. I run upstairs to my old bedroom. I'm devastated, and I need to gather all my thoughts. I drop myself on the bed and cry my eyes out. Marco is the only family that I have. Our parents died when I was still in high school, and my brother looked after me. We've been there for each other through everything, but Olsen is the one who opened up my heart and showed me love. What am I going to do with this predicament? I can't possibly for the life of me pick between the two most important men in my life. I can't, and I wouldn't choose between Marco and Olsen.
Chapter 17. Olsen. It's the last 10 minutes of the game, and I think I can't breathe. I've almost forgotten how playing feels like. But as soon as I stepped into the field and held that ball, nothing else mattered. Everything went by as a blur. I'm not looking at any faces or thinking of anything else. All that's in my mind is this moment. We're in the lead, and winning this would be grand. Imagine it's my comeback game, and I'm part of the team's victory. I know that with a little more therapy and more practice, I can be up to my old game once again. Maybe even better. If everything goes well, I might be able to play in the next season after all. A few more yards and the clock runs down to 0. We win the game. Cheers erupt everywhere. My teammates come from all sides as we congratulate each other. I try to strain my neck to get a glimpse of Mandy, but there are just too many people around. Plus, it's a little hard to make out the little faces. There's a little interview from the local TV station, and then everyone goes back to the locker rooms. Coach congratulates everyone and gives a small speech. He tells us to take a rest because we'll be back to take our opponent next week. I want to call Mandy right now, but there's no signal here in the locker room. I quickly take a shower, then I dress up in a shirt, jeans, and a jacket. I grab my bag and go outside. The stands are almost empty. I look around to see if Mandy's anywhere, waiting for me, but I don't see any sign of her. She might be in the restrooms, so I decide to wait for a while. Several minutes have passed, but there's still no sign of Mandy. I dial her number, but it goes straight to voicemail. I start to worry about what might have happened, but I don't know what to do. I see a few people, mostly game officials, and I ask them if they saw Mandy. I describe what she looks like and what she's wearing, but most of them didn't see her. I'm starting to panic until one of the utility men tells me that she saw her leave with her brother. They seem in a hurry, he adds. I'm a little bit familiar with Mandy's older brother, but I don't know much about him. I haven't even met him before. All I know is that he's the new coach of the team that we played against today. If they left in a hurry, there must be some kind of emergency. I start to worry more. I try to call Mandy's phone again, but I'm unable to contact her. I hope nothing serious happened. I sit down and think about what my next move should be. My gut tells me that I should go and find Mandy and her brother so that I can help with whatever happened. But I don't have the faintest idea where they went. The first thought that comes to mind is Mandy's house. That's the only place I know where they might have gone to. In an instant, I flag down a cab to travel there. On my way, my head plays various scenarios that I don't even want to think about. I shake my head. I need to clear my mind from all of these negative thoughts. At last, after several agonizing minutes that felt like an eternity, I arrive at the doorstep of Mandy's house. I ring the doorbell. No answer. I take a few deep breaths and ring it once more. Still no answer. One of her neighbors comes out. I try to talk with her. "Excuse me, have you seen Mandy today?" "Just this morning. She told me she was going to go see a game," she answers. "But you haven't seen her since then? Or her brother, for that matter?" She shakes her head. "I will try to call Mandy once more." "Please, Mandy, answer the phone." "I'm not available to take your call right now. Please leave a message after the beep." "Damn it!" I absent-mindedly scroll through my phone while I rack my mind where else to go to find Mandy. I can start going through the hospitals one by one, but that would just be too broad. I need to see her as soon as I can. All of a sudden, I remember Arnold. He's the one who Mandy endorsed to me when she tried to avoid being my therapist. Good thing I still have his number saved. He answers after 3 rings. "Hi, Arnold. This is Olsen Harte. I hope you remember me." "Of course," he answers. "What can I do for you?" "Actually, I need a favor. By any chance, have you seen Mandy today?" "No, is there a problem?" "Well, we were together earlier. It's my first rugby game again today. But after the game, I didn't see her anymore. I was informed that she left with her brother because of an emergency." "Her brother? Marco?" "Yes, he's the coach of the other team. Anyway, I tried going to her house, but they're not here. So even though it's a long shot, I'm asking if you've got any idea where they might be." He's silent for a few moments. "The only other place I could think of is their parents' home. I think Marco's staying there." "Great. Do you have the address?" Arnold dictates the address, and I write it down on a piece of paper. I thank him, and then we end the call. I hail another cab and give the driver the address. I pray in my head that I'll see her there. We stop at a modest house. I pay the driver, and he goes off. I take a deep breath and go to the front door. I knock 3 times, and a guy with a familiar face opens the door. "Good day. I'm Olsen. Is Mandy here? I want to see her and talk to her." He just stares at me. I wait for an answer. "Go away and don't ever come back. You're not welcome here," he snarls and slams the door to my face.
I hope you're enjoying this audiobook by Vic Savon. If you want to keep hearing more audiobooks, then please hit that subscribe button and like the video. It may seem insignificant, but the more people that subscribe, the easier it is to produce more audiobooks in the future. So please help us out and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, and now back to your book.
Chapter 18. Mandy, I don't know how long I've been crying, but I'm feeling a headache is about to start. I force myself up from the bed, wiping the last of my tears away with the back of my hands. I open my old drawer to check if there's any handkerchief left. Luckily, I find one. I wipe my face once more, and then I softly blow my nose into the piece of cloth. All that crying didn't bring me any solution to my current dilemma. I still need to have a plan with regards to the brewing struggle between Marco and Olsen. It's time to get a move on things. All of a sudden, I remember that Olsen is waiting for me at the stadium after the game. He must be worried sick by now, wondering where I am. Quickly, I reach for my phone and find out that its battery is empty. I frantically search for a charger. I rummage the desk, and thankfully, I find one lying around. I immediately plug in my phone, and as soon as it has a little bit of charge on it, I turn it on. I dial his number. I pace the room back and forth as the line continues to ring. Come on, pick up the phone, Olsen. It goes to voicemail after several rings. Frustrated, I try once more. Still no answer. Where is he now? I decide to send him a text message. Olsen, where are you? Call me as soon as you get this message. I go to the bathroom to freshen up. I stare at my face in the mirror. Damn, my eyes are starting to get puffy. I look like a weird alien. I turn on the faucet and splash my face with cold water. It somehow relieves what I'm feeling. I'm about to leave my room when I heard a loud bang. It's the front door. Is Marco still mad? I hear loud knocking at the door, followed by distant sounds. It seems like voices of men, and they're arguing. I run toward the window to see what's the commotion about. My jaw drops when the scene unfolds before me. It's Olsen, and he's trading blows with my brother. They're exchanging hits one after the other without any thought. It's just plain barbaric. I want to speak to your sister, please. What's wrong with that? Olsen asks. Punches fly again. You're only going to bring trouble to our family, Olsen? You already brought disaster, and I won't allow any more of it. Stay away from my sister. You're not welcome here, Marco shouts. I don't understand a thing that you're saying, Olsen replies. If you're holding her against her will, then that's illegal detention. I can have you arrested for that. Marco doesn't listen as he strikes Olsen in the face. I'm afraid for Marco. Olsen can easily overpower him, but I'm also afraid for Olsen. He can injure himself again if he's not careful, and heaven knows what can happen to him this time. I can't take this anymore. Stop, you two! Stop this at once! I shout with all my might. They don't even look at me. It's either my voice isn't loud enough and they didn't hear me, or they're choosing to ignore my plea. I try to get their attention by yelling louder, but it seems as if I'm talking to the wind. Hurriedly, I go out of the house to stop what's happening. I wince as I see them closer this time. Olsen's lower lip has a cut, while Marco's got a bruise in his cheeks. Still, it looks as if they're not stopping anytime soon. These boys and their damn pride. They're so absorbed with punching and shouting at each other that they didn't notice me going out of the house, running toward them. I try to separate them, but it's hard without me getting hit by someone. Olsen, Marco, stop what you're doing. This is very childish. Each time they punch each other, my heart is getting wrenched with hurt and guilt, knowing that I'm the cause of all this trouble. I cry loudly and beg for the both of them to stop. Finally, they did. We're all standing on the sidewalk, not moving and unsure of what to do next. I look at them, but they won't meet my eye. Please, let us talk about all of these like sensible grown-ups. Let's go inside the house. This is kind of embarrassing. Being seen by our neighbors, I plead. He's not going inside our house, Marco insists. Lower that stupid pride of yours for the meantime. You're both important to me. That's why we're going to discuss this. Marco reluctantly agrees. He goes inside the house. Olsen reaches out of my hand, and I hold him. I squeeze his hand gently as I lead him to the door. Marco sits down on the sofa, and I ask Olsen to sit down across him. Before saying anything, I go to the kitchen to get some cold packs. I give one to each of them and instruct them to apply it to their injuries. Listen to me, both of you. I'm going straight to the point. I start. Marco, I know you're looking out for me as my brother, but please don't let your personal issues get in the way. Accidents happen. We all know that, especially in a sport like rugby where it's highly physical. Olsen knots his brows. He doesn't fully understand what I'm talking about, but I think he's getting the gist. No one wanted what happened to you, Marco. You know deep down inside that it wasn't anyone's fault. Please don't be so hard on yourself. Also, don't look for anyone to blame. Marco and Olsen are both silent. Neither of them gives me a reply, nor even an acknowledgement that they understand what I'm saying. But I can see it in Marco's face that he's slowly getting what I'm saying. I hope this is the start of his full healing, and he'll be able to forgive Olsen.
Chapter 19. Olsen. I can't remember the last time that I've been involved in a fistfight. Imagine my horror when, after asking Marco if I can speak to Mandy, he comes barreling out of the door. The next thing I know, his right fist has connected to my face. I don't want to fight, but my instinct gets the better of me. I know my own strength, but I'm also afraid that I might get injured if we continue this. At the back of my mind, I can hear Mandy's voice reminding me that I should take care of myself. There's no telling how long Marco and I have been going on at each other. All I can think of and feel are the punches. It wasn't until Mandy went in between us that I came to my senses. It's a good thing that I saw her at once, or I might have recklessly hit her. The fighting stops, and despite Marco's reluctance, we all go inside to have what I hope is a proper talk. I'm now sitting in the living room of their parents' house. Marco is seated across me, but he makes every effort not to look at me as if pretending that I'm not here. Mandy hands us ice packs, and I put one on my face. I wince as the cold package touches my skin. I use one of my fingers to touch my lips, and I find dried blood. I'm pretty sure this will be swelling later on. I stare at Marco. The words he addressed to me seems as though he's known me for a long time, but I'm quite sure that I haven't met him. I only know so little of him. Mandy starts the conversation. She explains things, and slowly, I come to understand what happened. I now remember Marco Wells. He was the star player of his college rugby. He was being eyed to be recruited by several members of the major league. He got his choices and a bright future in sports ahead of him. Then our teams met. Both of the teams didn't have any losses as we went into the game. The stakes were high, as this would determine who'd be declared as champions. Bets were placed everywhere, and each player who hoped to be picked up by the agents put their best foot forward. The game was undoubtedly intense. Everyone's breath was abated. During one of our last plays, a terrible accident happened. I rammed toward Marco, and he fell badly, injuring his right shoulder. From what I know, it was severely dislocated that he underwent hours of surgery and years of therapy just to be able to use his arm again. Marco had great potential, everyone knows that, but because of what happened, he wasn't able to play ever again in his life. Now I understand why he's feeling that way toward me. I could empathize with him. I know the feeling of having everything you want in your life, then in one moment, all is taken away from you. I remember how I felt when almost all of the best doctors told me that I'll never be able to play rugby again. My entire world crashed. It made me even want to take my own life, as I felt as if it no longer had any meaning. Meeting Mandy changed it all, and now I'm looking at things differently. Marco, I want to say sorry for what happened to us. I know how you feel, I offer. At last, after what seems like an eternity, Marco speaks. I know who you were when I learned about Mandy's latest client at the hospital. Then why didn't you tell me anything? Mandy asked. Marco shrugs. I didn't think anything about it. I know it's part of your job, Mandy, so there wasn't any objection on my side, he explains. But as I saw the two of you getting close, I knew I had to do something to stop you. I just didn't know how. Just because of the accident that happened, I clarify. That's part of it, he answers. But I also know about you, Olsen. Your reputation with women far precedes you. Your long line of girls and not having any serious relationships are known to everybody. You're a playboy. I can't let you have my sister be hurt in any way. Mandy interrupts. Marco, I appreciate your concern, but I'm already a grown woman. I know how to take care of myself. I can choose whomever I want to be in a relationship with. It's actually none of your business. I know that, Marco says. But I can't help but feel protective of you. It's always been the two of us since our parents died. I vowed that I'll always take care of you. Mandy takes Marco's hands in hers and looks at him affectionately. The bond between these two siblings is unmistakable, and I hate to be the one who causes their rift. I'm terribly sorry for everything that's happened. I take a deep breath. First of all, I should have apologized sooner. I know that the accident was no one's fault, but it wouldn't hurt if I just said sorry. I continue. Also, as a man, I should have made my intentions clear from the very start. Marco, I assure you that I'm not going to hurt Mandy in any way. I truly love her, and that I'm serious about my feelings for her. In one quick move, I pull a box out of my pocket and kneel before Mandy. She looks at me, confused and shocked. Mandy, I've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to do this, but I think there's no better time than now. I open the box to reveal the ring that I've carefully chosen for her. You've brought back color to my world, and now I hope you'll complete my happiness by agreeing to be my wife. So I ask you, Mandy Wells, will you marry me? Mandy stands up and grasps my arms. Of course, I'll marry you!
Chapter 20. Mandy. After all the talking, the biggest surprise of the day takes place. For quite some time now, I've been feeling that Olsen and I are getting more serious with our relationship. We haven't talked about settling down, but I know that we're already in that direction. So, when he kneeled in front of me, holding out a box, I already know what he's doing. Unfortunately, it took quite a little time for me to fully process it. I can hear the words that he's saying, but it seems as though my brain can't understand it. All I can see is him and the beautiful ring that he's holding out to me. My eyes start to fill with tears. All emotions come rushing through me. Joy, shock, unbelief, excitement, relief, and all other things I can't even identify. Olsen looks at me, waiting for an answer. Eventually, I gather my wits and I'm able to speak out. Of course, I'll marry you, I exclaim. Olsen slides the ring to my finger, and we share an embrace. I still can't believe that this is all happening. I'm sorry this isn't as romantic as I envisioned it to be, Olsen says. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I take his hand in mine, and I give it a little squeeze. Don't worry about a thing. Everything is just perfect. I turn and look at Marco. I can't get a read on him. He's just showing a poker face. No reaction at all. I'm about to go to him when he stands up and excuses himself. He disappears into the kitchen. Is he all right? Do you want me to talk to him? Olsen asks. I shake my head. No, there's no need for that. Let me take care of this. I take several deep breaths and make my way to the kitchen. I find Marco sitting in one of the dining chairs, a glass of cold water in his hands. He's staring out the window. Marco, are you okay? I ask tentatively. He looks at me and I can see the concern in his eyes. Yes, he replies before taking another sip from the glass. Then why are you here? I just need to take a moment to breathe. Things are a little bit too overwhelming for me. Are you not happy for me? I touch his shoulder. Is this really what you want? I sit down in front of him and I take both of his hands. Marco, I know you've always been there for me, and I'm very thankful for that. But what I feel about Olsen is different. I can't explain it. My heart and my mind are in sync with this one. I love him very much, and I want to marry him. He opens his arms and motions for me to come closer. He envelops his arms around me in a tight hug. Then I'm all for it. If my little sister's happy, I'm happy too. We go outside the kitchen. Olsen stands up as soon as he sees us. Marco, I want to. Marco holds up his hand. No need to say anything, Olsen. I'm giving you my blessing and permission to marry Mandy. He extends his hands toward Olsen. It took a few seconds for Olsen to realize what happened, but he quickly recovers and grasps Marco's hands. Thank you. I promise I'll be a good husband to Mandy. You better be, Marco emphasizes. I've never been happier my entire life. Things have finally come full circle, and I can't believe how lucky I am to be able to enjoy everything that I want. What do you say we all go out to dinner for a little celebration? Marco offers. That's a great idea. Let's also celebrate the victory for Olsen's first game. I quickly add, no offense to you, Marco. None taken. We fix ourselves up, and then we're off to one of the restaurants nearby. I'm so relieved and delighted that this day ended on a positive note. Now I'm thrilled to plan my wedding.
Chapter 21. Olsen. After months of meticulous planning, it boils down to this very special day, our wedding day. Even though we hired the services of a wedding planner, Mandy insisted that she'd still be hands-on in the preparations. I know girls usually have a vision of their wedding day, and I want to be able to give Mandy that. I wake up in my hotel bedroom early in the morning. I'm nervous, but also excited. I can't wait to see Mandy walk down the aisle later, wearing her wedding gown. I've got no idea what's the design, but I'm sure she'll look stunning in it. Checking my clock, I see that I have a few minutes before the chaos starts. I call the room service for a cup of coffee and some pancakes for breakfast. I look at my phone for reminders of things that I need to do. While waiting for my breakfast, I decided to start my preparations. I hit the bathroom and turn on the shower. Cold water strikes my head and body, making me feel refreshed and energized. Once I'm sure I'm squeaky clean, I dress up and eat my breakfast. As soon as I drain the last drop of my coffee, my friends start arriving and the pre-wedding frenzy starts. I stand at the end of the aisle waiting for my bride. I'm overwhelmed with emotions, but I try very hard not to cry. After what seemed like an eternity, the door opens and I get a glimpse of Mandy. She's wearing an off-shoulder ivory lace gown that accentuates all her lovely curves. Even though a veil is covering her face, I can see the happiness radiating in her smile. Marco hands her to me and I shake his hands. I take Mandy's hand and put it in my arms as we go toward the center where the minister is waiting for us. The rest of the ceremony goes by like a blur up until the point where I'm asked to kiss my bride. All of our guests have gone home and we're resting in the bridal suite. Mandy's head is on my chest. We talk about what happened while my hand absent-mindedly combs her hair. I reposition myself so that she's right beside me, then I start softly kissing her. I start from her forehead, down to the tip of her nose, then finally her lips. We savor each other for a few moments before I continue covering every inch of her skin with my lips. Well, things are heating up again. You know what to do. Go to BWWM to get the dirty details that this platform won't put on the air. I know it sucks, but at least you can get a 40% discount with code VIXA40 to make up for it. Use it while it lasts and apply it to every digital product in your cart. Back to the story. You're an angel, Mandy, I whisper. I'll always be thankful that you came into my life. I embrace her as we rest. Are you ready for the halftime show? Mandy asks with a naughty smile. Now, this is something I have to see.